Hello and welcome back to Seagulls Central. Brighton have ended their 100% perfect start to pre-season with a 2-2 draw at Southampton at St Mary's today. Their first pre-season friendly in front of crowds for the 2025-26 season. Their final away match, their penultimate match before the season starts. My name is Adam MacDonald and welcome to Seagulls Central. If you're new here, please hit subscribe to this channel. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming. Everybody is welcome. I'm loving this channel. We are growing massively. Everything's happening really quickly and it's a really, really exciting place to be. And thank you very much for coming back. Here, we've got a lot to get into. The season's shaping up nicely now, isn't it? We're getting closer and closer. 2 weeks out from the Premier League season starting. Next weekend, the home match against Wolfsburg is going to be our final pre-season friendly, and we've got a lot to talk about. Now, the interesting thing about this game is that around kind of like, obviously the game was at 3:30, at around like 1 o'clock, the club put a thing out on their website, on the Twitter page, saying that they'd actually already played Southampton. I was thought, oh my God, what's going on here? Have we all missed it? What they'd done is they'd played an hour before the main friendly with basically a second 11. Now, this second 11 clearly was a second 11 and they only played an hour. Clearly, they made no substitutes. It was just like, you go on, play for an hour. Let's hope for the best. You know, each team will get an hour and it means that every player in the squad gets minutes. It's a good way to do it. However, at the point that we all saw it, it was quite concerning because you actually looked at the 11 they put out and there were quite a few good players out there. I was thinking, oh my God, like none of the fans are going to be able to see any decent players at the actual friendly. Welbeck was playing, Buonanotte was playing, etc., etc. I'll read out this 11. McGill, Veltman was at right back. So Coppola was playing and Veltman was playing. Coppola centre-half alongside Simmons. Kadioglu was at left back. He got replaced around 45 minutes. Milner and Yankuba in the middle of the park. Buonanotte, Gruder, Sarmiento and Welbeck. Sarmiento scored the winner on 19 minutes. Apparently, it was a good play from Buonanotte and Gruder in the build-up. Obviously, we've not seen that. We don't know. McGill apparently had a big role to play in the second half and kind of helping Brighton kind of fight back when their backs were against the wall. And apparently, the rest of the game was pretty quiet. The second 30 minutes of the game was very quiet. Apparently, Veltman had a good chance. But, you know, there are actually some quite, decent players, some big players for Brighton who we imagine will be a part of Brighton's kind of first proper squad on the opening day. Coppola, Veltman, Welbeck, all in there. So it was interesting. I guess it does just mean that, I suppose, if you're going to put out an 11, you ideally want everyone to get at least 60, 70 minutes. So I suppose we almost needed a second game to allow that. So I get it, to be honest. Let me move on to the main game. This was the one at 3:30 with fans in front of it. And this is the one we're really going to be talking about. This is the one where we're going to be doing the 5 key takeaways from the game. And we'll really get stuck into it. So this starting 11 was pretty much, I think it's going to be very similar to what we see on the starting day against Fulham in a couple of weeks' time. It's not been too different to even some of the ones we've seen in pre-season before this. Let me go through it. Jason Steele was in goal. Matt Wieffer at right back. Duncan JP Van Hecke in the heart of the defence. JP with his new number 6 after obviously all of that interest and the talk about his future in the week. Maxim de Kyper, new signing at left back, and midfield 2 of Ayari and Diego Gomez. No Carlos Baleba in the squad for either side that we put out today at all. He was not there. So those 2 in midfield, Ayari and Gomez. Minteh on the right, Mitoma on the left. Matt O'Reilly in the number 10 with Georginio up front as a number 9. The takeaways here from the lineups is no Costilas, no Seamas, no Baleba. I'm sure there are more I'm forgetting about. Obviously, Lamptey's still not here. Tommy Watson, still no sign of him yet in pre-season. Really, in terms of the new signings, all we're really seeing is someone like a De Kyper at left back, and we'll get on to him. But from a Brighton perspective, I would say this was another positive performance. It was another positive pre-season friendly, and the emphasis is on pre-season friendly. How much do we read into it? That is going to be up for debate. However, I think it was a good performance, particularly the first half, particularly the first kind of 60, 70, 75 minutes. We looked very good. It was towards the kind of 65th, 70th minute after that Brighton did begin to lose their way a little bit. Southampton piled on the pressure, turned it around. But really, particularly for that first half, Brighton were all over Southampton. Possession, fast-paced football, getting in behind, running at players, putting pressure, real high-pressing football, slick passing from everyone on the pitch. The midfield, everything was going through them. We were bursting forward. We were counter-attacking. We looked like a very, very good side. And let me get into a few of the points. So my first point is here around Minteh. I mean, how can he not be the first point that we make here? Obviously, with the results, him scoring both goals, he looked his brilliant, electric best. I always speak about with Minteh around his clinicalness, and that's not a word, but how clinical he is. He is so clinical, and we saw it again today. He did have multiple chances. He probably should put away a few more, which I know does kind of suggest he's not clinical. But he's got that way when a chance drops in the box or he's played in on that right-hand side. I think it's because I'm so conditioned. We're probably all conditioned as Brighton fans. It's like, it's not always perfect. You don't always have that goal-scoring winger, and you just want those players who can score goals. And up until a couple of seasons ago, we've always been crying out for those kind of proper strikers and proper finishers. And Minteh clearly knows where the goal is. He was quick, he was electric, but what he was a brilliant finisher today. It's that left-footed shot into the bottom left-hand corner, off the right, cutting in, bang. Real quick movements, real quick actions. He looked absolutely electric. He had a goal disallowed as well. There was a goal with Mitoma, where Mitoma was in. A brilliant moment from him where Van Hecke pinged the ball over to him. Mitoma took it down on his chest. Basically, literally got one-on-one with the goalie and then messed it up. Sorry, that was Minteh who did that. Brilliant play, kind of should have had a chance there, then messed it up. Mitoma messed it up. Just looked like a real attacking threat. I think, I've said it before, I think Minteh this season is going to be one of our players of the season. You talk about attackers that we have that look so dynamic and bright and sharp. We saw last season what he can do. A fast-paced player, a player who likes to press the ball, a player who will get in behind, run in beyond, consistently on the shoulder of the last defender, getting in behind. And that was clearly what we were doing today. Ayari, Gomez, players who love playing the ball forward, nippy little players who can get the ball, hold on to it, and then zip the ball forward. We were so good at doing that today through the midfield, getting it out to Mitoma, getting it out to Minteh, and Minteh was just causing havoc. He's going to have a huge role to play next season, and it was so good to see him. That leads me on to my second point. I thought Ayari impressed again in midfield. Obviously, we had no Baleba in midfield. It was him and Gomez. There were moments where I thought Ayari looked really good, dictating the tempo of the play, winning the ball back, but also holding on to the ball. That was one thing I thought, we don't speak about a lot with Ayari, but the way he was able to actually manipulate the ball and shield the ball, I thought was really impressive today. He was able to allow Brighton to kind of play through presses and stuff as well. That Southampton were putting on them by his kind of dropping of the shoulder and passing through the lines. He looked really composed. He used the ball well. And he got the assist for Minteh's second goal, a brilliant little move when Ayari's in the midfield quite far up and he basically just plays it into Minteh on the right wing. I thought it was very impressive. He looked confident. He was one of the standout midfielders. Him and Diego Gomez in the midfield together looked very good. And excited to see more of Ayari next season. Obviously, he was last year a bit of the surprise package in pre-season. We're now seeing the best of him. He's a player who Hürzeler absolutely loves. You would imagine on the first day, if everyone's fit, Baleba and Ayari start that game against Fulham. Ayari actually finishing the season really well. You think about that game against Liverpool at the Amex towards the end of the season. Really good. And very promising. So Ayari, another really good point. A third point I want to get onto in this game was our new man, Maxim de Kyper, and the way he linked up so well with pretty much everyone on our side. Now, there's a lot of talk with de Kyper around how he's a fantastic attacker, not a brilliant defender. Before we get on to his attacking, which is the main reason I want to talk about why I thought he was so good today, I actually want to give a nod for his defending. I thought he looked pretty decent. I thought he looked pretty solid. And actually, considering all the reports we've heard around Maxim de Kyper and how he actually is a bit of a liability at the back and is a bit more of an attacking defender, I thought he looked solid. Brighton were playing a back four. It's looking more and more likely Brighton are going to start the season with that back four. Wieffer at right back looks like that's going to be a thing that we're doing for the start of the season. Fair play. But Maxim de Kyper as a left back in a four with Duncan Van Hecke. How can we talk about de Kyper? Loved getting forward, up and down. As we spoke about in the video when we introduced him, absolute engine. Technically brilliant. One thing I really liked about him was how crisp all of his movements were. In terms of passing the ball, he was very accurate, very crisp with his passing. You think about Minteh's first goal. It's a kind of transition where Brighton are kind of semi-counter-attacking up the field. It's not like nobody's back, but it's kind of we're a little bit against the run of play. The Kyper's running up the left-hand side and he's moving at pace. And often when you're moving at pace, it's hard to make the right putt. He was very crisp with a ball into Georginio, right on the foot of Georginio. Georginio was able to then play it into Minteh, who did absolutely brilliantly. Constantly overlapping with Mitoma, playing in little triangles with Mitoma and Diego Gomez, who was the left-sided centre mid. He was really getting involved, sometimes slipping into midfield as well. Diego Gomez dropping out onto that left wing a little bit. I thought it was very, very impressive. I also thought Van Hecker, a little shout out to him in the sense of de Kyper, because Van Hecker was really, really good at playing the ball out to de Kyper from right centre-back, switching it over to the left-hand side where de Kyper was high and wide. I thought some of Van Hecker's balls were absolutely brilliant. You could see Dunk doing it as well onto the right-hand side, but particular shout-outs to those two, Van Hecker and de Kyper, because I think the way they linked up, de Kyper was clearly looking for that space in the left wing to kind of support Mitoma, and Van Hecker was finding him every single time. There was one that really, just separately from de Kyper, he wasn't involved in this, but a Van Hecker ball that he switched out to Mitoma. He did that a few times, and it created a really nice Mitoma chance where he got in, and it didn't quite end up. But I thought Van Hecker and de Kyper were really positive signs. I thought they helped to build up Brighton to play really nicely in the first half, and I thought they were very impressive. I am genuinely excited to see more of Maxim de Kyper next season. Look, whether he'll turn out to be a bit of a liability defensively, we will see from this game. I know it's only Southampton, they're not Premier League quality. However, he didn't get found out. He looked decent in the back four, and he looks like he really offers a lot, and I'm excited to see how he links up on that left side with Mitoma and whatever kind of left-sided midfielder we have involved with him as well. My fourth point, let me just remind myself, this was it. Mats Wieffer at right back. I think this is worth talking about. I thought he looked very, very good. Of course, he's not a natural right back, but I thought he looks again like he handled the ball well. First few things that stand out to me is obviously the gait, is the size, and I thought he was very proactive in all of his challenges. He was quick, he was sharp, he was able to get into players quickly. In the air, he looked excellent. His intercepting was very good. Obviously, he wasn't the kind of player who offered loads going forward, but looked really, really resolute defensively. I like him at right back. I think a few videos ago, I kind of alluded to the fact that I maybe wasn't too sure about him at right back. The more I think about it now is actually, I quite like it. I think the reason I don't like it is because I think what we're seeing about him being such a good player at right back, I do think he could be able to do that in midfield. But actually, if we don't have a kind of real standout right back, mine would be Joel Veltman. I like this. He's technical. He's strong. He's comfortable on the ball. I like it. I thought he impressed again today. Nothing really came down his right-hand side until the kind of latter stages of the match, when perhaps people were tiring a little bit, but I thought he looked very good. The only question around him going forward would be that pace. But I liked what I saw today. And I thought after, obviously, we saw him do it a little bit towards the end of last season. We've obviously seen him do it a lot in pre-season. But in terms of first proper game in front of fans, I thought Mats Wieffer looked very, very good. The only things I will say is my fifth point in terms of the kind of downside is that dip in the second half. Obviously, we went 2-0 up on around 65, 70 minutes. We brought Harry Howell on. We made a couple of changes. After that, I think we did see the signs of fatigue. I think we probably saw lapses in concentration. And that was a bit of a shame. Obviously, the first goal that Southampton scored was a bit jammy. It was a bit fluky. They'd scored it, on the edge of the box, right-footed shot. Looks like it's getting straight into the hands of Steele. Gets an unfortunate deflection off Dunk, and it kind of goes in the top right corner. It's unfortunate. The second goal, penalty, hits a Brighton arm in the box. It looked a bit suspect to me as a penalty, but it was given. Adam Armstrong absolutely buries it. And then, to be fair to Southampton, there are quite a few good chances to kind of, I suppose, kind of maybe warrant the draw. So I guess that would be the concern. I suppose in the Premier League, what we'd be able to do at that point is make kind of changes that actually kind of count a little bit more instead of bringing on players like Abdullah Sima and Andrew Moran. We'd be able to make changes that are a little bit more of a higher quality, and we'd hopefully be able to kind of mitigate that kind of tiredness. But I think there was like lapse in concentration. At this point, I will put that down to just like pre-season, kind of the lack of sharpness. In terms of other kind of things that maybe were less positive, I'd love to know your thoughts on this, but I did kind of feel that Matt O'Reilly didn't have an amazing game in the sense he didn't massively stand out. Obviously, he was playing at the number 10. I thought the players around him, Diego Gomez, Yasin, Ayari, obviously the wingers in Minteh and Mitoma, Georginio too, all had quite good, impressive games. And I did feel that sometimes Matt O'Reilly didn't go a little bit missing, but I think he struggled to make a mark. He felt a bit quiet. It felt like often he was getting lost in the pockets a little bit, and he wasn't often getting on the ball, and it was just like simple movements of him getting the ball, passing it on to the next player. And I don't know, we didn't see many shots from him or little intricate passes. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think he's a solid option looking like at the moment in that number 10, but I think if I'm starting the season, I'm looking at really having Rutter in the kind of role behind Welbeck, and probably a very similar lineup to what we saw. I think the lineup that we've seen today is going to be 85% of the lineup that we'll see on the opening day against Fulham. If I had to predict it at this point, it looks like Bart Verbruggen may not be fit for that game. Jason Steele in goal. I think the same back four that we had today will be the back four that we put out against Fulham in a couple of weeks. Van Hecker and Dunk, De Kyper at left back. Matt Wieffer at right back. I think we'll have Minteh right wing, Mitoma left wing. I think we'll have probably Ayari and Baleba in the midfield, and then Rutter in behind Danny Welbeck. It was a shame that we weren't able to see Costellas and Seamas. It sounds like they're still just looking for sharpness. The training clearly kind of, their plan doesn't mean that they're able to play at this point. Same with Tommy Watson. It is concerning though that we're not able to see them. I think to be honest, it does actually set them all back, because yes, okay, they'll be able to come and we might see the best of them in like mid-August, end of August, early September. But I think having that pre-season does mean you can hit the ground running, and will almost mean that these players are playing catch up a little bit, particularly if they're trying to kind of adapt to the Premier League. They're not there from the very start, getting those minutes, getting that impetus there. They're not just trying to adapt to the Premier League, they're actually also trying to get their fitness up in their first few games. I think that is a little bit of a concern, but you can't really do anything about that if players have been carrying injuries. They need to get through that. But that would be one of the things I hope next week, we're able to see a few more of those players. Maybe Baleba can come back. We'll be able to see Seamas, Babis, Watson, maybe Lamptey as well. It would be good to see those players. But I think overall in this game, it was an impressive match, particularly the first half. I think the main takeaways is Minteh looking brilliant, our attack looking brilliant. And to be honest, our defence looking good. The Kyper at left back, very impressive. It would be interesting to know a little bit more about that first game, if any reports came out or any footage came out from it, seeing kind of how Kadioglu would have done, how Coppola looked, even Freddie Simmons as well, Danny Welbeck looking good as well. Obviously, Sarmiento scoring, looking like he's going to be one who is going out anyway. But where does it leave Buonanotte, Gruder going into this season? Yakuba played at centre mid, obviously alongside Milner. I'd love to know a little bit more about that. But it felt like a good day at the office overall. Obviously, minutes in the tank. People getting their fitness up. We're getting sharpness in players like Mitoma, Minteh, Georginio. It's looking good. Our defence is looking a little bit more structured. We're seeing that, some of the new signings, i.e. kind of someone like De Kyper looking good, and it feels generally quite positive. Yes, there are things to take away. Yes, we maybe need to improve concentration. Yes, maybe someone like Matt O'Reilly didn't have the best game. But overall, I think we can say this has been a good performance. I think next week against Wolfsburg at the Amex, it is going to be a step up in a test again. Obviously, we've got the two games as well. There's one at 11:30, one at 5:30. It'll be a similar kind of case, I imagine, as to what we saw today. At St Mary's against Southampton, one being behind closed doors. Obviously, the second one maybe having more of the kind of proper starting 11 in that game. But we're getting there. We're getting there. The squad's taking shape, the team's taking shape, and it's making me really excited for the start of the season. Let me know what you thought of the game. Who impressed you? Minteh, is he going to be having that kind of player of the season that I think he's going to have? Who do you think, based on that game, are you most excited about? What are the worrying concerns? How did you feel about that last kind of 20-25 minutes? I'd love to know in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video and you've got this far and you're a massive Brighton fan, get that subscription, get the button here. I've butchered my words there, but get that subscribe button here, hit a like on the video, get in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'm loving the community. We're building nicely. I love hearing all of your comments, and everything about it is amazing. It's really fun to be a part of. So yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you on the next one in a couple of days' time. And as always, up the Albion.